Broadcasting from the Meredith Hall Studios out of Carson City, Nevada. You're listening to Covering the Field with Big Richard Martin, Gator Gates, and Joe the Answer Ellison.
Welcome to Covering the Field. I'm Joe Ellison, and with me today are my amazing colleagues, Big Richard Martin and Gator Gates. Guys, let's begin with football. Big Rich, what occurred during Week 9 in the National Football League?
Well, we're over here in Meredith's Hall, and the heater is off. But it is hot in here because I'm sitting next to Joe the Answer Alice. Ellison had a 5-0 week last week. Is that true? I mean, I am sweating right now sitting next to you.
4-0, I kind of threw in an extra pick that would have been 5-0, but I officially was 4-0. Yes, I am on fire.
You are on fire. And what does that make you for the year?
Well, we were going to talk about that later. Well, over the last 7 weeks, I'm 22-5 against the spread.
Oh, man, that's Gator, 81. I think you're going to have to give up your crown, huh? You're going to have to give up that crown. That's 81%.
81.5.
All right, we'll give you the hook.
We'll give you the hook.
All right, well, good, man. Excellent job. Because this has been a difficult season. But now we're into week 10, and we now get to see, we know who's for real and who's not for real. I think everybody thought that first game, Seahawks upset the Broncos on that Monday night game, and all of a sudden, it didn't seem like such a shocker now, does it?
It's not an upset.
It's not an upset. And look at the Jets. They're down 1 week. They're grounded last week by Belichick, and they're back up in the air flying high, beating the Buffalo Bills, Super Bowl favorites. Is that what are they? Gator, what do you got them on the odds on that? Buffalo.
On Buffalo?
Buffalo was they're only
Well, they were minus 11.5.
Yeah.
Going into the game.
No, but I'm saying to win the Super Bowl. Their Super Bowl, they got to be 3-1. 3-1. Now, 4-1.
I have no clue what they are right now.
Yeah, they're definitely falling quicker than my stock market bonds right now. But anyway, back to football. Aaron Rodgers, 5 in a row.
Yeah, that's a shocker. Jeez.
Who did he throw an interception to? Aiden Hutchinson?
Yeah. That's 3 interceptions.
That's the first ball he's caught since he's been in 3rd grade. I mean, I'm telling you, Aiden Hutchinson gets an interception. He reads it like a book, and you can just tell Aaron Rodgers is not the normal Aaron Rodgers. No. He's a gunslinger, and he's playing very timid, knowing that he doesn't have the receivers, and trying to place every ball and not just throwing it like he normally does.
Yeah. No points in the first half. Very slow start led to a very bad finish.
Right.
So.
Again, Tua looks terrific again, 6-0. Sorry about that. Our producer Cornelius is not giving me the thumbs down look because of what? Because the Bears go down, but it was a good game.
Yeah,
Justin Fields played great. What a move he put on him, huh? On that linebacker.
Yeah.
He ran for 61 yards.
Well, Justin Fields had about 178 yards rushing, which is a regular season record in the history of football.
Oh.
Well, only behind Kaepernick in that one playoff game against the Packers. But as far as regular season is concerned, Fields already has a record.
Well, good job, Justin Fields. We've been on you pretty hard on the show, and it's good to see him coming out, getting that sophomore jinx is coming off, and he's playing pretty good football.
I think the coaching is getting more towards his strengths now. Just let him run.
Right.
Don't ask him to throw it.
Yeah.
It's working.
So, looks good for them.
How about Indianapolis? Losing 26-3 is in 121 yards of offense is one story. But maybe what happened after the game might be a little more interesting.
Yeah, that was a ching-ching for everybody that took our advice on that under and taking. I mean, that was an obvious parlay under and taking the under. Was it under 44? And they only scored like 3 points. And then taking the Patriots doing a great job getting the win. And Belichick again, he has it against rookie quarterbacks and.
That wasn't one of my official picks, but it was mentioned on the show. And, well, how about Frank Reich after the game? Gets fired.
Yeah.
And who are we going to hire? Let's pluck Jeff Saturday out of the announcer's booth at ESPN.
Well, he has a great coaching career, Joe. He was the head coach of Hebron Christian Academy High School in 2017. I mean, doesn't that qualify you for an NFL coach?
It might.
Well, I'm telling you what,
it does today.
Well, I'm telling you, he was the Offensive Player of the Year, 2007 Offensive Lineman of the Year. 5-time Pro Bowler, great name in Indianapolis. The owner loves him, and so give him a shot.
you never see that happen in football before. I mean, I've seen Pat Riley come out of the booth or whatever, replace Paul Westhead in the NBA. Baseball, you see it on occasion where an announcer's sitting there observing the whole team and then he ends up being the manager. But in football, no.
I'm anxious to see how long he stays with Sam Ellinger when he goes to back to Matt Ryan. I mean, that's your best odds on winning for sure.
Well, we'll see if that happens. They certainly paid him to play, and now he's just sitting there doing nothing. So.
Right. Same thing Aaron Rodgers is doing. Doing nothing.
How about Cincinnati, Joe Mixon, huh?
This is what I have to say about the Bengals. They're great. They're bad. They're great. They're bad. And then I don't know what they are next week, but
5 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns. Yeah. Mixon. And then the week before gets shut out by the Browns. The week before that, 5 touchdowns. So
congratulations to anybody at Joe Mixon on their fantasy football team. You probably won this week.
On your own. You had 4 rushing touchdowns and one receiving. Yeah, that's pretty good week for fantasy there, Joe Mixon.
Tampa Bay, boy, a real yawner. But they do get the victory, 16-13 over the Rams. 2 pathetic teams there.
That's hard, man. Yeah, it's hard to pick the best out of the worst.
Well, we're not going to say. I mean, they both are last year they were in the NFC Championship, both those
exactly.
teams.
So what happened? So the Rams, they get rid of people?
Well, they lost Beckham. They can't run the ball. Stafford is just as bad as he was last year, throwing interceptions left and right. Only the players around him aren't playing up to their level.
Cooper Kupp.
And as far as Tampa Bay goes, you can only give half the credit or for the problems to the quarterback and to the coach.
Well, the Rams had 8 3-and-outs. 8 3-and-outs. It's everything. That thing's a dumpster fire out there.
It's a mess. Both teams.
So you know what I mean. And they have no draft picks. So good luck there.
And they lost their best linebacker to the Buffalo Bills too. So
Von Miller.
Exactly. There you go.
Well, I have to say about the NFC, Joe. There's only 5 teams with a winning record.
Exactly.
Philly, Vikings, New York Giants, Dallas, and the surprising Seattle Seahawks.
Yep, only 5 right there.
Vikings are so underrated. Why isn't anybody talking about them? Just because they're only winning by a touchdown here or here.
Everyone's expecting Kirk Cousins to eventually beat Kirk Cousins.
Right.
And it's not happening.
Well, as soon as he plays the night game, he runs on solar power. Right. He can only play during the day. Mm-hmm. So at night, when he gets under the lights, he definitely doesn't have the power or the play that he normally does.
There is something to that.
A couple of other games I want to touch on from last week. Jacksonville defeating Las Vegas. That's the 3rd time Vegas has had a 3-score lead in a game and lost this year. 0 points in 3 of their last 4 halves. They did score 20 in the first half last week and 0 the game before and 0 in the second half last week. So
they're definitely a second half. Don't take them.
Don't take them in the second half.
On their half
for some reason.
Right.
Seattle looking beautiful. We started to talk about that. Kansas City defeating Tennessee 2017 in overtime. Patrick Mahomes 68 passes, 440 yards, 60 yards rushing. Tennessee Willis threw only 16 passes.
Right.
That was an amazing contrast.
Yeah, and only 80 yards, but he did have a couple good rushes in there, and they gave the ball to big Derrick Henry like they're supposed to. And right now, I mean, they should have won that game. Yes or no? I mean, they should have won that game on Monday night. I think they should have. They could have got 1 first down. Patrick Mahomes does his magic on Monday night or Sunday night, gets it done. But right now, you can get the Titans at 50-1 to win the Super Bowl, and they're going to make the playoffs. And they showed they can go to Kansas City, and they should have won. So
what was more impressive, Kansas City winning that game or Tennessee losing that game the way they lost it?
Well, I think that they had the rookie quarterback in there. I think that if they had Tannehill in there, I think there might have been a different outcome.
I think they would have won the game had Tannehill been in there. Right, so I think Tennessee showed that they are the real deal to me.
50-1, 70 was it 50-1 odds? Mm-hmm. You put $50 on that gives you $2,500 at the end. I've got them and I've got Miami, so I got 2 teams in the playoffs, and I'm going to hit it this year.
One sad note: Ray Guy passing away, first round pick. Yeah. The only only punter ever to be the first round pick and be in the Hall of Fame. He was an amazing kicker, obviously. the old coffin corner punt.
No,
I missed that. Just put it straight out of bounds, straight down to the 5-yard line. Now they're making guys try to run underneath these punts, and it's like crazy.
Well, half the time they can't catch them. So
Exactly.
I mean, especially if you're on the Bears. So anyway, sorry about that. Another look
over or covering.
Okay. Well,
so anyway, should we look forward to Week 10 now?
Well, first of all, it's been election day here in the United States yesterday, so our midterm elections came out. We're gonna do a midterm grades. We're gonna get our vote, so I'm gonna give you guys a chance to vote. Everybody that voted out there, thank you for holding democracy. And Friday is Veterans Day, and thank you for all those that served.
All right,
so
terrific.
To give us those freedoms. So midterm grades, boys. What do you got? Okay, we have the Offensive Player of the Year. We're gonna start with Gator.
Offensive Player of the Year. I like Geno Smith.
That's a great one. That's an upset. I have to go Jalen Hurts just because they're 8-0. He's the quarterback and they're undefeated.
Well, Big Richard's pick for his midterm vote is in Tyreek Hill. He's on the pace for 2,000 yards this year. He's 100 and some yards above anybody else. 200 yards. Tyreek Hill, the cheetah, is my offensive player of the year.
Next up,
Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, that's an easy one for me, being a Cowboys fan. Micah Parsons. I mean, I'm sure he's going to win it. I mean, I don't know who would stand up to him by the end of the year. We have a Roquan Smith vote from the producer. That'll be interesting to see. He'll be the first one ever to play for 2 different teams and win the defensive
Gator, you can't stuff the ballot. You put Von Miller in 3 times. Only one vote there, Gator. Only one vote. I'm going to give mine to Sauce Gardner. I think our defensive rookie cornerback. I think he's playing great out there. He's made a change, and so I'm going to go with Sauce Gardner.
I'm going to have Sauce Gardner as my rookie of the year right now. I'll tell you that.
That's for sure.
But I can't give him defensive player of the year. Also,
no, it's hard to argue with Joe's pick.
All right. Go with the Cowboys. All right. The comeback player of the year. Who's your comeback player of the year?
Well,
the producer the producer just put
Roquan Smith again.
No, Fields. No, Justin Fields. He can't be the comeback player of the year. He's only been in the year 2 years. I mean, how could he? He's never got hurt. Never had to come back. All right. Anyway, that vote's out.
For me, that's an easy one. Derrick Henry, because at the end of the year, I know this is a halfway season award, but he's going to rush for 2,000 yards this year and be the comeback player of the year. But anybody wants to say Geno Smith, I'm totally okay with that.
That's who I got, Geno Smith. That's my comeback player of the year for sure. I mean, he came out of the grave. We didn't even know he was still playing football, and goes out there and beats out Drew Lock, and then now just playing great and having a great first half of the season. Well, all right, coach of the year.
This is a tough one.
Yeah.
You got Nick Sirianni, who's 8-0. How do you argue with that? But I'm going to go with Pete Carroll. We have a Brian Dayball from the producer. I'm going to say Pete Carroll, though, because the Seahawks were dead and buried before the season started.
Pete Carroll never gets a vote because he quit on the Trojans. He cheated, then he quit. He doesn't get my vote. I'm going to Robert Saleh, New York Jets. I mean, how could you go against him? Wow. I mean, he brought the Jets out of the dead last. Everybody had them picking last. They're a playoff team playing great defenses. Had a first game loss and says I'm holding receipts on people that are talking bad about the Jets.
You can't call him the circus anymore.
Exactly. So great job out there in New York there, Robert Slay. You get my vote. And now we'll go to the MVP.
Well, that's the same thing as my offensive player of the year, I guess. I got to go Jalen Hurts at the moment.
I'm going to go with yours, Derrick Henry, your comeback player. Derrick Henry on route to... He has 870 yards right now, and he's won 8 games, so he's on his way. You're still with Geno Smith. All right.
Especially if they could beat San Francisco.
You must have cashed in some of those tickets there at the casino there at the sports book there, buddy, because Geno Smith could have made you a lot of money. Vegas still can't get them figured out. There's 2 points underdogs last week.
We have a rookie offensive player of the year. That's a tough one. I can't think of one right now that's being. Damian Pierce. Okay, no, see, that's a solid choice. Houston's running back. The team ain't doing that good, but Pierce is
he's actually doing really good out there.
Really, really well.
So I mean, they're definitely got their establishment. I'm going to go with offensive tackle out there, the first round pick for the Seahawks. How about he was the 9th pick of the draft, and he's playing solid left tackle. I mean, you could pick a left tackle out of the draft, and you can put him in right away, and he's having that much success.
Linemen never win any of these awards.
Well, they're getting my offensive player of the year. Okay. So, all right, let's move on. Okay, so I want to just put 2 more things on the NFL before we make our picks. If we look at Baltimore, the remaining games, they don't play anybody with a winning record until 2023.
No, geez.
So they have Pittsburgh twice, Cleveland, the Broncos. They don't until January 7th, their last game of the year, they play Cincinnati. So Baltimore, you're in the playoffs. Congratulations. I mean, I think that would be the first lock. I mean, wouldn't you say that? I mean,
very good. Yeah. I mean, the closest you can to a lock.
There's 4 teams in the NFC are pretty much locked in.
Right.
But, yeah, I would say for sure Baltimore looks good.
And I'm going to have to go with our barbershop guy out there, Jeff, and tell him about the San Francisco 49ers. They only have 2 games they play people with a winning record the rest of the year. So they look like they're 4-4. They've already beat Seattle once, so if they beat them again, they'll have the tiebreaker. So San Francisco looks good getting in the playoffs also.
I agree.
All right, that's our midterm reports.
Midterm. Now we move on to week 10. What's the latest injury news? I mean, Josh Allen, is he going to play this week or not?
Today, Coach came out and said he is not sure. He's day-to-day. He's not practicing, which probably means we see it the same way Vegas did their line. It started at 9, went down to 7 to 6.5. Now it's at 3.5. So Minnesota went all the way down to 3.5 on that. And the backup quarterback for Buffalo is who?
Couldn't tell you.
Casey Keenum.
Case Keenum. Well, that's not horrible. At least he has some experience.
Yeah, he's experienced in Denver where we saw him continually fold like a lawn chair every time he was on the field.
In Houston and a couple
But for a backup,
places.
yes, exactly. But as a backup, we'll go with that. So.
Linebacker, defensive end, whatever you want to call him, Rashawn Gary is done for the season in Green Bay. That's a bad loss. Things just getting worse in Green Bay.
Is it true that Minnesota could wrap up the division this week? I think pretty close to wrap up the division if they
just about
pull out Buffalo, get a win in Buffalo.
The Giants lost one of their safeties, Xavier McKinney, but not by playing football. Apparently, he went off on an ATV somewhere and
Cabo
broke a bunch of fingers.
Cabo broke his fingers on an ATV accident. Hey, when you're on vacation, go have some fun, man. I mean, I can't really be too upset with them, except for now it's going to definitely cost you some money.
At least 4 games.
At least 4 games.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I'm going to
slap his hand, but it's broke, so you can't.
Don't do that. Taking a look at last week's games, point-wise, things got back to normal pretty much. 8 underdogs and 5 favorites. That's the way it's been going. 6 road teams won, 4 underdogs won straight up. There were 8 home underdogs last week on the sheet. New Orleans was the only one that didn't cover at some point during the week.
Wow.
Home underdogs were amazing.
Home dogs is what you wanted to go. Yeah. Thank you, Raid Man, for those advice. I'm sure he gave that to you.
We're getting it. As far as the totals are concerned, 9 games went under, 4 went over. That's just typical of how the year's been going. Through week 9, 79 underdogs, 57 favorites against the spread, 81 unders, 55 overs against the spread. So what does that tell you? In division games, 30 games have gone under, 14 have gone over. 2 out of 3 last week went under. So there you go.
They tighten up when you play in your division.
As bad as the NFC is, with only 5 teams above 500, AFC 9 teams above 500. So.
And all 5 in the AFC East.
Yeah, all 4 in the AFC East. Yeah. That's right. And none in the NFC South, by the way.
Yeah.
So again, we thank Butch the Rain Man Roberts for all those stats.
Good job.
Okay, Big Rich.
It's time for our picks. Well, I was
for this week?
2-3-1. I won my first 2 games, and then all of a sudden had a little bit. I was 3-3 this week. Atlanta definitely cost me in that game against the Chargers.
It was 3.5 at one point, and it went down to 2.5.
Right.
It was 3.5 on the card had you got Atlanta.
So, anyway, 3-3 last week. That doesn't hold a candle to your 5-0 their pick there, Joe. But we're going to start off this week. We're going to make some money, of course, because we always get a free one. Denver is on the road, so take the under. It's under 40 right now, so Tennessee's still with their backup quarterback. I don't know if Tannehill's going to play, but still, that looks like a big, good defensive game. Battle probably be, somewhere in the low 20s. So probably be somewhere in the low 30s.
Henry's still going to get his yards though.
And Henry's going to
run up and down.
Denver's still,
defense.
but Denver's still got a decent defense. Even though they lost Chubbs, but they still got a decent defense. They'll be able to hang with them for a while. I like the under 40.
About that. Well, keep going.
Denver on there. Okay, here we go. So Dallas -5, of course. All the injuries in Green Bay.
And ineptitude too.
Right, coach coming back to Green Bay.
Mike McCarthy. Yes, revenge time.
Revenge game. So he wants to get Dallas by him, and Green Bay. They can't beat anybody. So I'm taking Dallas, dropping the 5. And then now I'm talking about my boy Tom Brady. We said he has to start picking it up. Had that last minute comeback against the Rams. They go to Germany, so 6:30 if you're going to watch that game, and I will be, because I'll make a bet on Tom Brady only dropping 2.5 in Germany. He loves German girls. His German wife, his ex-wife is out there. He's going to have a nice Pilsner and get his game back, and I'm taking Tampa Bay. I'm dropping 2.5.
German/Brazilian.
Okay.
All right.
Might have been a little off on the continents there. Sorry about that.
They like to drink down there, too.
Exactly. That's right. Okay. And then I like the Rams first half.
Oh, all right.
So first half they're playing the Cardinals. Cardinals are terrible first half. I think they've only covered one time this whole season, so they're 8 straight.
Sounds about right.
So take the Rams first half. They're at home. And then I like Washington +11 at Philly.
Oh, that's bold.
I do. I think we just talked about division games, Joe.
I know.
We thought they're all within 3. Washington somehow hangs in there. Every week they're in there. I mean, they should have won last week against Minnesota. They were up by 10 points and lost. They go to Philly, and I'm gonna take Washington +11 because that's the way the odds and the analytics are.
Right.
And then I like the Saints this week. They're dropping 2.5. So
the Saints are. Let's see, they're at the Steelers.
They're at the Steelers.
Have their issues.
Right. So I think that defense gets after them, and they only drop 2.5. So I'll drop the 2.5 and take the Saints.
Okay. Gator, did you have anything to add to those picks?
Well,
agreement, disagreement?
Well,
some of your own?
The game up in Germany, I'm going to go with Seattle.
Yeah.
You've been riding Gino all year. Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't I? The other one Big Richard didn't mention is Vegas. Indy's going into Vegas, and Vegas has to do something. They can't just keep playing the way they have. So
well, we know one half they'll score 0.
But take them the first half. If you're going to take it, take that first half.
They're going to be at home, guys. They can't just be, get that egg off their faces. What I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of team Indy has after this shake-up in as coach. And is that anything else you got there? You think you want to
Well, Cleveland and Miami is an intriguing game to me. I don't think that's an easy game for Miami.
No. They get after the quarterback at Cleveland, and Tua has the fastest relief, the best quarterback rating. You just pass it to Tyreek Hill or Waddle in the flats and let them do their thing. So
that looks like that's going to be a high-scoring game. It's not going to be one of my picks.
The other intriguing one is Houston. Even though they keep losing, they still make it close all the time. How close is it going to be with the Giants? And the Giants are going to be at home.
6.5 is the spread. Giants at home. I'm not touching that one.
See, so that's another. Those two, Cleveland, Miami, and then Texas and the Giants. I think those are intriguing games to watch.
Mm-hmm. Well, my picks again. I went 4-0 last week, winning with Jacksonville, Tennessee, the under in the Rams game, and the over in Chicago. 22-5 last 7 weeks. I had to repeat that, of course.
Sure.
This week, I like Tennessee -3 at home against Denver. When is Tennessee ever going to get any respect? My God, Denver's terrible, and they're only laying 3 at home. And I do see Derrick Henry running up and down on that team. My producers are really going to like this one. Chicago -3 at home against Detroit. I mean, Chicago's coming on right here.
They look good on offense. That's
Detroit
for sure.
just got a win last week. What are the odds they're going to get a win 2 weeks in a row? Not a chance. Chicago coming off a close loss and at home. I like that. Dallas -5 at Green Bay. I'm in total agreement with you on that, Big Rich. And Seattle +2.5. I'm in complete agreement with you. Their Gator against Tampa Bay. Yes, remember that is a 6:30 in the morning game in Munich. So just in general, just so you have an idea what the way I'm going to go on totals, which they're not going to be my picks, but teams that can't seem to score points right now: Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Denver, the Los Angeles Rams, and Indianapolis. None of those teams can score. So now, let's see. Let's move on. I guess we're going to move on to college. So, what were the big stories from last week's action in the NCAA?
Well, we had number 1 and number 2 go at it, and the red and black defending champs took down Tennessee, broke all my parlay cards. Unbelievable. They fumbled the ball the first series, the second play of the game. I'm thinking Tennessee, they're gonna go. They're gonna make it a game. They get blown out, and why can't Stetson Bennett get any respect? I mean, I think the play of the game is when it was third down on about the 30-yard line, safety blitz up the middle. Stetson gives a juke, then runs around the defensive end for a 30-yard touchdown. I think that's a Heisman moment. We told you he was 75-1 odds last week to win the Heisman. How can you not give this guy a little bit of respect? He's right now ready to run the table. They got the East locked up now. There's no way they don't win the East, and they're going to play probably LSU or because they beat Alabama, so they'll probably or Ole Miss. So a little bit of stats for you on that, Joe.
That's Georgia's quarterback.
Yeah. And so Stetson Bennett, he's now 14-1 after that win. He went from 75 to 14-1. So one thing I do want to let you guys know, in the 10-0, there's top 10 matches when the top 10s play each other, sink or swim. The home team is 10-0.
Oh God!
Sink.
All right, there's got to be one upset in there.
Nope,
so,
10-0. Number 1 and number 2. You have these home teams,
amazing.
10-0, and top 15 teams that play each other, it's 15-1. And the only team that did it was Ohio State when they went to Penn State. Now that's not against the spread; those are just wins, straight up bets. So looking into this week, we got to understand with these home teams with 90 to 100,000 people in these stadiums, these college stadiums, it's hard for an 18 or 19-year-old kid to go in there and play on the road. Tennessee had 8 false starts because of the crowd noise. So constantly staying behind the chains, and then Hendon Hooker couldn't even have time to even pass. So, he loses his Heisman run on that for sure.
From even money to 14-5 now.
Exactly.
It's going to go up.
It's going to go up. So, anyway, I told you Alabama loses.
Yeah.
In overtime. And
2-point conversion.
2-point conversion.
How
Kelly.
gutsy was that?
Jim Kelly comes out there and makes the play. I mean,
Brian Kelly,
I'm sorry. Goes out there and makes the play and makes the call in overtime to get the 8 points instead of the 7 points, and great play at home. Thank you for not tearing the stands.
Yeah, it seemed like a terrible thing to do. I was saying just kick the extra point, but when it works, it's like
great.
It's the best play you ever made.
And then Notre Dame, who lost to Marshall and Stanford at home, beats Clemson. I mean, there goes another team out of the top 5. Their seasons are done for the national championships. So the college football committee came out.
Right. Their second rankings.
Yes. Second rankings. Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, and TCU got in. The Horned Frogs, they finally got in.
TCU undefeated. Finally gets ahead of, I guess Tennessee was number 5, I guess.
Right.
All the one-loss teams, TCU is ahead of.
So Tennessee still has a chance, sitting at 5. Because,
absolutely.
If their only losses to the number 1 seed, them and Oregon's going to be a close race for that last place. Okay. All right, well, TCU, we'll look at that top 10 teams again. At Texas, Vegas made the adjustments. Even TCU is the number 4 team in the nation. Texas is favored by 7 because they know it's at home. I'm telling you right now, stay away from that game. I'm thinking Texas is going to win the game. I really do.
Okay, well, there goes my pick. Right out the window for this week. Well, TCU plus 7.
Okay,
Texas.
so they're 10.
I'm expecting a close one.
You're expecting a close one?
Yep.
I'm telling you right now, TCU still can run the table. We have, for now, the Big 12, they don't have two divisions. It's just the top 2 teams, the same as the Pac-12. So the top 2 teams make it, and then it goes to winning percentages if it's a tie. So something to look at. Texas is 4-2. Everybody's 4-2 except for TCU is 6-0. So might be a game. Texas gets them. Maybe Texas gets another chance. We see them in the Big 12 championship get a rematch game. So anyway, that's something to look at.
Okay.
So my picks last week did go 2-3 and 1.
My picks were terrible. We won't talk about that right now. And so maybe it might
Tennessee and Alabama let me down. I mean, I'm telling you, man, the big dogs let me down anyway. So, but I'm going to stay with Tennessee this week. They're at home. They're giving up 20.5. Missouri is 127th in the nation against the pass, giving up over 300 yards a game. You look for Hendon Hooker to have a better game, more time, be at home, comeback game. They blow out Missouri.
Yeah, I could see that. Sure.
Okay, and I'm going to stick with the analytics on the next one. Ole Miss at home, number 11 versus they're at home against Alabama. Ole Miss plus 12. Now, like I said, I don't know if they'll beat them because you know how Nick Saban is. After he loses, he always comes back and has a good game. But they are on the road, Ole Miss, and see if Lane Kiffin can get it done. 12 points, too many at home. Take Ole Miss. Riding with the Tulane. I'm telling you right now, I've hit them every week. And this week,
Tulane
Tulane Green Wave, man. I'm telling you right now, they're only -1.5 against UCF, and they're at home. So I like Tulane.
Central Florida?
Florida, yes.
Beautiful.
All right. Another one. Baylor is at home. They're dropping 2.5 over Kansas State. Baylor's another team that has 4-2. They can bully them up. They bully Kansas. I say bullying Kansas State also. They're on a 3-game win streak. Take Baylor, drop the 2.5. They win by a field goal. And that's the Big Rich picks of the week. Right. I can't go under because Iowa's not playing this week.
That's right. Okay, that's the automatic.
That's the automatic.
That's the free spot on the bingo game.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we got to move on. Another baseball season has come to an end. When we left off last week, Philadelphia was leading the 118th World Series 2-1. What happened after that?
Well, we said who wins Game 3 usually wins, 69%? 69%.
In a 1-1 series, the winner of Game 3 wins 69%.
They had Wheeler on the mound. They thought there's no way they could lose, right? Game 3. What do?
They got no hit.
They got no hit. You can't win if you don't score. You sure can't win if you don't get a base hit. So they got no hit. Team does what? It was the third no hitter. The
second no hitter in the World Series.
And second, and there was another one that was done.
Well, there was another
playoff game.
Yeah,
Holiday, I think it was.
For
Toronto.
Holiday.
So
that did happen. Okay. Don Larson, 1956, the only other no hitter. A lot of controversy. Should this no-hitter actually count as a no-hitter? Because 4 pitchers combined on it as opposed to just one guy.
Right. I don't think you get the same class as a no-hitter, but you still got no hit. It shows you the dominance of their bullpen. Houston, congratulations to Houston Astros. That were their second of 3 years. Good job.
So after that no-hitter, Game 5 obviously was going to be the pivotal game. And Philly lost 3-2. That was the game I thought Philly was probably going to win, and they just left a bunch of guys on base and couldn't score. And Game 6, there was no way they were going to win Game 6 and 7 in Houston. They were mentally out of it at that point.
Yeah, we were hoping that it was a one-run game. I was hoping we get 7 games out of it. Mm-hmm. Good series. Good job for the Philadelphia Phillies coming back. Yeah.
They beat Houston beat Aaron Nola twice, and Verlander actually won a game. So that's what made the difference right there.
Nola got beat up in the postseason for sure.
And I said Houston in 6 at the beginning of the series. I nailed that, but then I changed my mind after Philly was up 2-1 and said Houston 7. So it depends on when you got it. There's some really good odds that Houston-Philadelphia exacta paid 90-1. I don't know how many people actually watch the World Series, but probably not too many. But ratings are low. Congratulations to Dusty Baker, the manager. 73 years old, the oldest head coach, manager, whatever, in all 4 of the team sports to win a championship.
Oh, wow. He's coming back next year. He's already said he's coming back next year. So,
yes, 7th player.
Well deserved.
7th player and manager to do it since the divisional era. The MVP, Jeremy Pena. He's a rookie, 21-year-old rookie. Was MVP of the ALCS and World Series. On October 7th, you could have got 50-1 on him to be MVP of the World Series.
Wow.
Yes. And here's a nice side note. The first game Dusty Baker managed in 1993, Pena's father, Geronimo Pena, batted leadoff against him for St. Louis.
Wow, what a stat.
There you go.
And he was the bat boy on the team. Probably saw some good genes with that kid, and we're like, we're going to sign him. So good job. That's great. That's great information, Joe.
Mm-hmm. And so coming up, there'll be some awards. One per day. Cy Young, Manager of the Year. Hall of Fame is going to be putting some players in there, and free agency is going to be coming up Aaron Judge and a bunch of shortstops are going to be available.
And Giants are looking at Aaron Judge.
Yep, that'll be interesting to see where he goes. I can't imagine him leaving the Yankees. I think the Yankees would just fans would just go in an uproar.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but good luck with that. I mean, baseball was a good year. Congratulations to the Astros.
Okay. Gator, what transpired in the final race of the season in NASCAR? I know, another baseball ends, so does NASCAR.
Okay, well, Joey Logano, he earned pole position, and when the race started, he really was never challenged. But Joey had his Ford lead 186 laps, and only one lap was he not the top contender.
Yeah, every time I looked up while I was watching football, I looked at the race. Oh, Logano's in first.
Okay, well, Joey, that does give Joey a second championship. And Chase Elliott was spun by Ross Chastain early in the final stage. He hit the wall and he was out of contention. That did end Hendrick Motorsports' streak of 2 consecutive titles.
Yep, so Logano, that's Joe Gibbs Racing.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the Fords just dominated, Joe. They had 4 of the top 5. Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney got second. Ross Chastain, he was the Chevy, came in third. And then 2 more Fords again, Joe, Chase Briscoe, and then Kevin Harvick. Toyota got 7th with Kyle Busch.
Yep, but the most important story, we have a champion.
Yes, that'd be Joey Logano. And Ross Chastain ended second in the standings with Christopher Bell. He finished 10th in the race, but he got third in the standings. And
Elliott got knocked out.
Right, Elliott finished actually 28th because of that wreck.
Because of that spin.
Yeah, because of that spin. So yeah, but what a great week.
Was that like cheating, that spin, or was it more of like a little accident, kind of semi on purpose?
Well, we are talking about Chastain, so you tell me.
He probably did it on purpose.
Well, you tell me. It's hard for me to know what is purpose and what is not with him. And there's nothing wrong with that. I love that. He gives me something to talk about every week.
Yeah.
I love that.
Okay.
He's the bad guy of NASCAR for sure.
Yeah.
He's the Raiders.
Yeah. He's getting that reputation.
He's got it.
Well,
from the other drivers, he's already got it. So, Gator, what's the news in Formula One? I think we have a race this weekend.
Yeah, there's only 2 races left, Joe, but this race is going to be hard to watch because it's at 10 o'clock on Sunday, Joe, on ABC. So last year, Lewis Hamilton won, and Max Verstappen got second. But I think it's hard to go against Red Bull and Max Verstappen, and I'm sure that, Max wants to win those last 2 races.
He wants to make that record unbeatable.
So, yeah, I mean,
I
I don't know what the line is, but it's got to be way up there.
Minus 250, just a wild guess.
Yeah, wild guess. It could be even minus 300 by the time they drop the flag.
All right. Gator, how did horse racing's Breeders' Cup end up? Horse racing's biggest 2 days of the year.
Big time. That's $31 million in 2 days that they give out.
That's amazing.
By the way. But
I guess I should ask how your picks did, too.
Okay, well, I'll get to that, but I just wanted to tell you about Flightline won by overtaking Life is Good and won by 8 1/4 lengths.
The classic, yes.
Mm-hmm. And he will probably be the Horse of the Year, which is actually called the Eclipse Award.
Okay.
The 2 horses, they had a 9-length lead ahead of the field going around the par turn, and the pace was just a little too much for Life is Good, so the jockey held him up a little bit. But Epic Center's jockey held him up, too, because he actually hurt his leg, Joe.
Oh, that's never good news in horse racing.
No, and Lady Gator actually this morning was asking me about it, and there's nothing on him that we found. So I don't know, Joe.
Nothing terrible.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
But Flightline, he was 2.5 favorite. He paid $2.88 for a $2 ticket.
Huge favorite.
Right, and then and he is retired now, Joe.
Okay.
But he finished 6-0 in his career.
Time to go to stud.
Olympiad got second, Joe. It wasn't on my radar or even Lady Gator's radar, but he paid $12.38 for place. That's not bad for place.
No, that's great.
Now, Lady Gator, I give her credit for this one because she put Taba in her exotics, and Taba did get third, and he paid $4, doubled her money there.
Okay.
So that was a really good pick for her.
And I think we also picked the juvenile the
Forte.
day before. Forte, you had Forte.
Forte looked really good. The biggest races for those guys, if you don't follow horse racing, you want to start looking in January. You start having the Pegasus races, and those are when those races are for the Derby. Derby points. But Forte looked really good. Blazing Sevens, I really wanted to watch him, and I didn't see him anywhere on the screen.
Well, he was not blazing. I think he's still running at the moment.
Yeah, had no clue where he was going.
Okay, so Epicenter had a surgery, and his prognosis is excellent, and there you go.
Okay, ready to go.
Awesome. So we're going to be, we're looking forward to that. Yes, poor Blazing Sevens, I think, is jumped over the fence or something. Never quite made it to the finish.
Well, it's hard to look at these 2-year-olds. We're looking at 2-year-olds, and they're just like kid 2-year-olds. They're not disciplined. They don't want to go running all the time. So it's when they get to be about 3-year-olds. So this is where you start in January. You start looking at those races, and I do believe Lady Gator is actually going to try to put out a schedule. I was talking to her about putting out a schedule of horse racing for 2023.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to another season of that. So, your favorite sport, Gator, who's currently hot and cold in the National Hockey League?
Okay, well, the hottest team right now is the Vegas Knights, man. They're 8-0, 12-2 overall, so way to go. I gotta give them kudos.
Yep. After an off year last year.
No kidding. The other one is Boston. They're 11-2 as well, Joe.
Go Bruins.
There you go. Another one, the Devils, they're 7-0.
New Jersey, that's a shocker.
That is. Now, the two shocking teams, I bring that up, Joe, to me, because when we did it at the beginning of the season, I didn't mention them. They were Winnipeg and Detroit. They both have 17 points each, and they're a scary team.
Well, Detroit did get rid of a lot of their good players the last couple of years to build, rebuild with youth, and it's working out
very well.
And Seattle also, I noticed, was doing decently lately.
Oh yeah,
surprisingly with their draft picks, and
they're so fun to watch, Joe. They're 5-0. Their record's 8-4-2, by the way.
They're cracking.
They're cracking them numbers, that's for sure.
Okay, and who's been doing badly?
Okay, well, St. Louis. They were 3-0 to start the season. Now they're 0-8 in their last 8. Pittsburgh. That's heartbreaking to me to watch Pittsburgh go over.
Crosby and Malkin.
Now, I know the Sharks fan. I'm sure that they're pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
Now, Calgary, my team that I say is going to win the Stanley Cup, 0-6, Joe.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and I'm not exactly sure. I've watched a few of their games. I'm not sure what their problem is. Just bad luck, I think, but it's got to be something else. I don't know.
Look for Calgary to improve then.
Yeah. Columbus 0-5.
Okay.
And I got the Sharks. They're 3-8, and Columbus is 3-9. That's what their records are.
Okay. Not good.
Not good.
No.
So last week, Joe, I was saying Arizona was playing a lot better, but I went 6-4. And 2 of my losses were on Arizona.
Yeah, so, well, you started 6-0 and then kind of petered out a little bit at the end there.
Yeah, exactly.
But still 6-4, still a decent week. That puts you at 28-16 on the year.
28-16.
That's 64%. Not quite the Gator line that we're used to, but we know that's going to improve. What are you picking this week?
Okay, well, so we're looking for 80 to 90% this week.
Okay. Is that all?
That's all.
All right.
That's the goal anyways, Joe. Yeah. Okay, so Thursday I have 2 games. I have Philadelphia over Columbus.
Okay.
And I have New Jersey beating Ottawa. And Ottawa's for sale, you guys, so...
Right.
Just go up there and give me...
Who's that guy, Ryan Reynolds or somebody is trying to get in on that?
Our producer just put the money down. But there's a catch, though. You can't leave Ottawa.
Can't leave Ottawa. Well, that's going to be tough.
Okay, so Friday, it's beautiful up there. I've never been there, but I've seen the pictures. Okay, so Friday, we got Dallas. They're playing San Jose. Okay. And I have Toronto over Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Saturday, I have 3. I have Philly over Ottawa again.
Right.
Boston over Buffalo. And New Jersey over Arizona.
Okay.
Sunday, I have 2. I have Boston over Vancouver.
Back-to-back for Boston.
And I have the Rangers over Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 1 game on Tuesday, Vegas over San Jose.
All right. We'll keep track of that.
Okay, sounds good, Joe.
And some final notes.
Okay, well, let's see. Let's just look at the top of the division here. Remember I was telling you how bad the Pacific Division was going to be, Joe? Vegas, 24 points. They're leading. Seattle, 18 points. Edmonton, 16 points. L.A., did they lose last night?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about L.A., but they were 15 until last night.
Are you doing a little better than you expected?
Over there, yes. Over here, no. I mean, some of the teams that I thought were going to do really good, let's try Edmonton and Calgary. I thought them two would be at the top. They don't look good at all right now.
Okay.
Well, what about the Colorado game there, Gator? I can't believe you're not talking about the Finland games. I mean, Colorado goes out there.
Oh, that was easy.
Yeah, I know. That we had our filthy rich Gator pick on Friday.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
So we pushed on Washington, but we did hit Colorado on our filthy rich, and I'm going to go along with your pick there on Saturday for our filthy rich Gator pick for our parlay for Saturday. You have Philadelphia Saturday, right? We're going to parlay that with UCLA minus 19 at home against Arizona. That is our filthy rich Gator pick, parlay pick.
Sounds good.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. So some final notes as we start to wrap up the show. The Canadian Football League playoffs have reached their Final Four. College basketball has begun. And in the NBA, Kyrie Irving was suspended for 5 games by his team, the New Jersey Nets. Any thoughts on any of that stuff, guys?
We told you needed a life coach. And so you got a new coach, and hopefully you get some better counseling, control himself a little bit better, and be appreciative of what he does have and what he has going. There's rumors that Durant might be getting traded. They got to do something in Brooklyn, and of course the Lakers are.
Well, obviously, Kyrie Irving is a racist, right. So that's going to be an issue.
Okay.
It's going to be hard for him to change. And any predictions on the college basketball? Well, obviously, we got North Carolina and Gonzaga 1 and 2.
We also have the Veterans Day game. It's going to be played on the USS Abraham in Lincoln. That's going to be Gonzaga and Michigan State.
Oh, that'd
the
be
spread
great.
has not been out yet, but Gonzaga looks really good. 83% of everybody's picking them, so I'm gonna go with Gonzaga on the USS Abraham Lincoln carrier vessel. So
that'll be a good watch.
That'll be a good watch to see getting played in San Diego.
Okay. How about Arkansas winning it all this year? Eric Musselman, Nevada's old coach. I got to throw in an upset.
Okay, you're taking Arkansas to start it off. All right.
Well, I don't know how they're going to do early, but I think they're going to be strong late.
Okay.
And you're going to have a hard time picking against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the CFL, wouldn't you think, Gator?
Ryan, if you're trying to find an upset there, I probably would go with the Lions. They're plus 360 to win the whole thing.
British Columbia.
Montreal has to play Toronto. I like the Argonauts, Toronto. And I like British Columbia, so I like Toronto, British Columbia.
You see Winnipeg losing, huh?
Well,
against the spread.
Yes, I'll take that.
They're
Okay,
favored
there
by
you
like
go.
5
Thank
points.
you.
And
I'll
another
take
good
the
game.
spread.
Another good
points.
college game to watch, fellas, is St. Peter's goes to Seton Hall on Saturday. Our St. Peter's, sweetheart Cinderella story last. The Peacocks go to Seton Hall. We don't have the spread on that yet, but that's a 9:00 game. So something
Let's
good
see
to
what
watch.
they got left from last
See what
year.
they got. See if they're still going to be for real.
Okay. St. Peter's and Longwood.
Exactly.
Those were the teams to watch. Longwood played the other night. I forgot to see if they covered or not. So it's time for the You Got Host segment. The time where we thought we had winners right down to the wire, and maybe something went horribly wrong, and those picks we thought were really good ended up being losers. It's that segment we call You Got Hosed.
You got hosed.
So, Gator, do you have a You Got Hosed segment or something similar to that?
Yeah, Joe. Okay, well, my You Got Host story is the Notre Dame and Clemson game. Last week, the CFP ranked came out, and they had Clemson ranked 4th. And Caesars reported 70% of the money was on Clemson at minus 3.5. Well, Clemson didn't get their first score until the 4th quarter and gave up 21 points in that 4th quarter. So for me, Joe, I'm just wondering if those bettors were just going off the CFP ranking and never seen the Tigers play this year,
right.
Or if they did watch the Tigers play this year, if they were just hoping that some way they would pull this off. But either way, I don't know what your excuse was for putting that much money on there, but if you had Clemson for whatever reason, I think you hosed yourself.
You hosed yourself, yes. Clemson was definitely overrated. And
Well, Joe, we can't get a You Got Hosed segment without talking about your Sacramento State Hornets.
Uh-oh.
Okay, the opening game of the year, basketball.
Uh-oh.
They're playing UCLA. They're getting 25.5.
That sounds about right.
Right? So with 10 seconds left, 24-point lead for the Bruins. Sacramento State has the ball. Just chuck a three and get your win, right? No, they throw an interception or a bad pass. Amari Bailey breaks out loose for an outlet dunk with no time left and a 26-point win. Sacramento State, you got hosed.
Brutal. My Hornets. Terrible.
Joe, do you have a You Got Hosed?
Well, sure. Last Thursday, I've got the under in the Philadelphia-Houston game at 45.5. Philly scores a touchdown late, makes the score 27-17. All I need to do, just kick the extra point. The final score is 28-17, under. Philly kicks the extra point, but Houston jumps offside. Naturally, Philly decides to go for two at the 1 yard line, and of course, they make it. Final score 29-17. It goes over by half a point.
Yeah.
I got hosed.
You definitely got hosed.
You got hosed.
That's it for the show. I'd like to thank Big Richard Martin, Gator Gates, all our contributors, our producer, editor, and engineer, Cornelius, and all you listeners out there. And next week, we look forward to bringing you another episode of Covering the Field.
You've been listening to Covering the Field. Email us at coveringthefield@gmail.com for all your comments or questions. Find us on Twitter @CoveringField. And of course, always check out the website for our picks of the week and updated articles. coveringthefield.com.